Bullets were flying around left, right, and centre. So we loaded the two girls into the bath.
I put a blanket
for
in
protection.
the bath.
Yes. Put the blankets in the bath. We put the kids in the bath. I ran out the back door, left Lyn inside with a 303, and I had believe it or not, a 9mm Mannlichter Second World War assault rifle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Wild Dispatch!
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Wild Dispatch. I'm Robin and I'm back with more skills and stories from the wild. First of all, I want to say welcome to any newcomers. If you are new, then be sure to give us a follow so that you don't miss any of the upcoming episodes that are in the pipeline. We've got some great ones. And if you are a returning guest, then welcome back. It would be amazing if you could do all the things that people who enjoy podcasts do. Give us a like, give us a follow, all those things. But also, if you could write us a good review. Actually, to be honest, I've really seen a difference when people do leave reviews. It bumps something up in the algorithm. And yeah, there's definitely a spike or an increase in the uploads. So if you can do that, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. So we have a fantastic pair of guests today, a couple, Lyn and Mike Methley. We had a great chat when I was over in South Africa. Lyn and Mike have had some incredibly wild experiences in their lives. There's lots of things we're going to talk about today, but the main arc of this story is the time that they spent in the, 50s and 60s, potentially that kind of area, right at the very northern part of Namibia, which at that time was called Southwest Africa, I believe. So to give you a little context of where that is, if you go right down to the bottom of Africa, you have South Africa, and then on the west coast, just a little bit above there, bordering, is Namibia. It is an incredibly hot and deserty place. It is a tough place to live, that's for sure. And Mike and Lyn together, well, Mike was an engineer and he was building roads through some of the, I can only imagine, bleakest and toughest environments to be in. So I think they were about something like 300 miles away from any shop even. So yeah, they had to supply themselves and sort themselves out with food whilst they were building a whole load of infrastructure and roads through this incredibly barren wilderness. So suffice to say, there are some incredible stories, amazing animal encounters, there's guerrilla warfare, there's all kinds of wonderful stuff in this story. A couple of other small things I should add, just so that people have a bit of context, because some of the language might not make immediate sense. Obviously, kilometers are used over in South Africa. So, kilometers to miles, 1.6 kilometers is 1 mile. So it's not a huge amount of difference, but just so you know. Also, you may hear the word bucky being thrown around a lot. It's a fond term for a truck. So if they're talking about, oh, we were in the bucky, they're just talking about their truck. The last thing that I should probably cover as well, just so people don't get the wrong impression, there are a great many different groups of people there, and the terminology that is used and widely accepted by everybody is a little different from America. So there are black Africans, there are white European settlers, and then there are also a group of people who are called colored. And this is actually a community of people who are a mix of European, indigenous Khoisan, and also a mixture of African and Asian descent who identify themselves as colored. So there is no offense in any way intended by this term. Right, I think that's everything. I'm excited to get this one out. Thank you again, Lyn and Mike. Let's get on with the episode.
That's my two daughters.
Wow.
And that's actually a shotgun.
Is it?
Yeah, an old Harrington Richards, single barrel.
Single barrel?
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's how we used to, the kids used to swim. And we were blasé, They could eat, that river was full of crocodiles. We went back there, how long ago, Lyn? About 20 years ago. We went back.
2008.
And we went down the river and saw all the crocs on the side. Yeah.
Those
But the
four
most amazing
photographs-
part about it is that photograph and that photograph. This was in '59.
Okay.
And that was 2009.
Yeah, it's the same, exactly the same place.
Oh wow.
It's
Yeah,
identical spot.
and the road down the hill too. There's the 1950. They've just finished building that road,
Thank you.
and there the road
Oh,
is
that's
today,
all
going down exactly the same hill.
Except now it's got a guardrail. It
Yeah.
didn't have a guardrail, but that's the same little bush. They're
Yeah.
still growing there.
And
That's how little
this I will be
development there is.
telling you about.
See, the bush is the same. I wonder.
Yes.
I always wonder how quickly
Yep,
things
it's there.
grow.
Wait.
And this was taken with an old Polaroid. That was
Yeah,
what we
that's
had
a
at the
Polaroid.
time.
Yeah, it's a little higher, but not much.
Yeah, there's that.
I think it's the same bush. It's pretty
Probably
much.
is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, there. It's the same place
It is
as we
exactly
came
here as
over the
well.
crest, yes,
It looks
of
just
the
the
road.
same.
And this one here we'll talk about sometime.
Yeah.
That's the border post in Angola.
That was immigration.
Really.
Yes.
Yeah, that's immigration.
A
I
bottle
can't
of brandy.
remember what
handed
his
to
name was, but he lived there, and that gate is closed, and he had a big brass lock and a key, and that was the
Locked it
border.
every evening.
We
He
come,
went to
no,
bed.
you're not going across. So we say, no, we just want to go across the other side. There's a cooker shop there, we want to buy beer. Okay, you can go. Come back, you give them a little bottle of brandy for R2,
Yes.
and that was your permit for the month. I used
And
to
then-
hunt and shoot in Angola.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
What did you hunt and shoot there?
Well, we shot mainly for the pot. Well, maybe we'll talk about
Yeah,
that
let's
on
talk.
there. Yeah. But I think you want to start with longer back than that, do you?
We
Or
do,
does it
yeah.
not
We're
really
gonna.
matter?
It doesn't matter. We can jump around, but let me just make sure that I'm not recording this thing and getting volume levels all skiffy and woo wrong. Okay.
Do you want a cup of tea? I'll make us tea.
No, don't. Then we're going to have to stop there.
Okay.
Okay, I think that's pretty good.
Still not fussy about it. That's the landscape in Namibia. That's some of it.
In where? Angola, did you say?
In Namibia.
Oh, Namibia.
And that's also Namibia. Just as a matter of interest. But you've seen lots of pictures. Why am I showing you pictures?
No, it's good to see. It's like a super dry, deserty kind of
Yes.
environment.
It's just so dry.
Mm.
And then where we lived at Ruakana was north of Namibia, which is covered in this bush that you see here.
A mapani
that's-
bush.
It's a mapani bush. It's there.
Okay.
And here you can see where the people graze their cattle. That's the cattle have eaten the grass.
Oh, so it's just kind of
It's a low shrubby bush.
it's
if
lost
you can
its
call it that.
it's kind of the earth has lost its integrity in a way.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think that looks. Those volumes look good now. I
Is that
think.
the Toyota?
That was the Toyota. We've gone, there's the Toyota.
That was a beaut, eh? This thing had been in an accident. The front axle and the rear axle were not in a direct line. You went like this.
Oh really?
Do you remember these ladies? We had to give them a 20 Rand note, else they
Yeah.
couldn't take their picture.
Really?
Yeah,
They're
20 Rand
savvy.
note
They
first.
know. They
Yes,
know.
yes.
All these things that we talk about in Namibia were before the conflict. It was still building up.
These bring back memories. I've forgotten I had them. They sit in the photo box.
Well, it's better in the photo box than just tens of thousands of photos on a phone. I'm terrible. I don't. You take a lot, but you don't look at them. It's.
My children gave me that up there, which we've taken off now, but it has about 300 photos on it. And they just come round at random, and they do remind me of friends and loved ones. And
Yes.
so that's rather
I
nice.
have this gate.
You see what I mean about the size of that tree before the war? If the soldiers didn't cut it down, we would have found that place if we'd looked for that tree.
Oh, because it would be something on the skyline.
Yes, when we went back, we couldn't find the tall tree that used to be at the gate, so we couldn't find the gate. But the whole of the South African Army had been in there, and they'd changed everything, you know.
Yes.
So it was quite hard to find that tree. Whereas down at the river, where they hadn't been, we found the same bush and we found the same piece of road. So
Are you on there?
Yeah, I've just turned on. Is that okay?
No, that's all right. No, it's fine.
No, it's good. So that's the beginning of an interesting story in itself, right? I mean, let's just begin there. So you just showed me a photograph of a very primitive gate along a fence line. But that was the border, you were saying?
Yeah, that was the border between Angola and Southwest Africa.
Okay.
And it was about 300 meters up on a little dirt road from our engineering houses, and about 100 meters in after the gate was what they called in Angola a kuka shop, simply because the Angolan beer was kuka.
It was called Kuka.
C-U-C-A. Kuka.
Okay.
And we used to, the nearest place where we could buy anything was 500 kilometers away from us. So we shot for the pot, as I said to you earlier.
Yeah.
And we used to go and buy beer and wine and spirits and stuff over the border. The Portuguese were still in Angola at that time, waging a war with Savimbi, wasn't it? Apla. Yeah.
Yes.
And we'd bump into them often at the cooker shop, loaded up in a Unimag, with big Unimogs, Mercedes Unimog, with troops all sitting on the back. It used to frighten me because they were really, really armed to the teeth. They looked terrible. They had machine guns and daggers and sidearms and pangas and all sorts of stuff. You know? And they used to cross the border there. I don't know whether they used to buy a bottle of brandy like we had to, but I doubt it. I think that when he saw them coming, he just opened the gate. And they would use our South African roads in Namibia, Southwest Africa, to go 100 kilometres up the way, nip over the border again and attack some lot of dissidents, come back into the border, back along past us, and down past the house, and over the border and back into Angola. So
wow.
Simple.
So Southwest Africa is what is now known as Namibia, right?
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay. And so you're in the middle of nowhere at this point, apart from this shop. The border was just this primitive gate. And what brought you to that area so far from known civilization? Like, what was the purpose of you being there?
Wanderlust.
Okay.
I think I started off as a civil engineering technician and did a diploma. We did a lot of chemistry and stuff, and eventually I got an offer to work in a brewery, and I went and worked in the brewery, but it just wasn't me.
Okay.
I liked to get around. And one day a guy phoned me and said, "Listen, you should be doing the roadworks. Do you want to go to Namibia?" And I said to Lyn, "Look, should we get married and go?" So we went to Keetmanshoop, which is in the south, for about 6 or 7 months.
What year was this that you decided?
Okay, so in 1960,
She's got the dates.
Okay.
1965, we decided we'd get married in the October. So we planned our wedding so that we could get married on the 16th of October, which is mid-month.
Okay.
And it gave us 2 weeks after the wedding to get ourselves to Cape Town, because this offer that Mike had started in Cape Town. And they said, come down and work from Cape Town or work in Cape Town.
Yes.
So we said, all right, fine. So we duly got married on the 16th of October, took our 2 weeks, got ourselves, in those days, you didn't fly everywhere, you always drove. And so we drove down to Cape Town.
And where were you at that point?
And we were in Crichton.
You were in Durban.
And we were working in Durban, in Natal, because that's where we lived, worked, went to school.
Okay.
So we then got ourselves to Cape Town, and the engineers in Cape Town said, would you, to Mike, it wasn't me, I was at the hotel waiting for him to work. I don't know what I did all day. But anyway, they said to him, would you like to go to Namibia, to Southwest Africa?
I think we should just go back quickly.
Yeah.
I was hired to do a road work in Natal.
Okay.
It hadn't started yet.
Yes.
And they sort of said, well, look, don't waste your time here in Cape Town. Will you help us out and go up to Namibia for 6 months? Of course, we'll go.
Yeah.
And that started a love affair. We liked it.
Okay.
Yes. So that's how we got there.
Yeah.
And was that the first time that you'd really been properly in the wilderness at that point, when you went up there?
The first time.
Yes.
It was Keetmanshoop, was in southern Namibia.
Okay.
Pretty, even then it was quite well trafficked, and
Oh, it was.
it was a long way from proper civilization, but it wasn't that bad. It wasn't as...
Yes,
as-
Keetmanshoop was remote,
Yeah.
but you still had your doctor, dentist, hotel and shop and
Something.
service station.
Yeah, yeah.
Little village.
The basics.
Yes. And then
But
we
it got
went...
into our blood.
Yes, yes, yes.
That was the problem, because we went back to Natal, we did this road job,
Okay.
and when it was nearly finished, we had to think about what we were going to do. And she saw an ad in the paper. One of the consulting engineers was looking for somebody to go to Namibia, so I phoned them up and got the job. And at that stage, I
That
don't
was
think we
8
knew.
years later. I think.
Yeah, I don't think we really knew what we were in for, because it was in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
To get to where we were, the contractor who was on site to build the road which I was going to look after, which ran north-south
Okay.
for 180 kilometres. A long contract, 180 kilometres of road. The road to get from civilization to there had only been bulldozed through. It wasn't even surveyed. I think they gave the guy, there were no drones or anything those days, they just gave him a compass and told him to head in a northerly direction. And it just pushed the road through for 100 and something kilometres to where we were going to build this.
He worked for a
the road.
very
But
big...
That was prior to us getting there, because when we got there, they had it already constructed. The airstrip,
Okay.
3,600 metre runway. Can you believe it? You could land a Boeing on that
That's
thing.
3.6
And we couldn't
Ks.
understand it, but it was all military build-up for...
They knew the war
They knew
was
there was
coming.
going to be a war, and they built this airport right on the border.
And that's the border
Yeah,
wall.
And that was the border, and there's this beautiful airstrip in the middle of nowhere with zebras and impalas and things. Anybody came to land there, they had to buzz and buzz and buzz and buzz. An asphalt runway in one direction and a gravel one in the other. The control tower had 2 policemen in it. An Afrikaans-speaking policeman and an English-speaking policeman, and 2 black constables. And their job was to patrol their section of the Angolan border. That's basically what it was.
2 people.
Every Monday, Jan would get in the 4-wheel drive with his corporal or whatever,
Yeah.
and they would disappear for 4 days. They'd drive right down the cut line, all the way down almost to the Namibian coast, back inland and round, and Friday they'd get back. They'd spend Saturday and Sunday down at the hippo pool, drinking beer with us. Monday, the other guy would go with his man, and they'd do the same route. They just did this
Constantly.
constantly and logged it.
Did they ever
the
say
time.
how long a
Yeah,
that that loop was?
Yeah. It was a 4-day trip all the way around.
So
Why?
must-
The distances are vast up there.
Yes.
Very vast. Yeah.
They talked about the terrorists, and the Afrikaans word is terrorist. And they talked about the terrorists. And I said to Jan, what is a terrorist? Now, I was naive. I'd sort of grown up in Natal, but I wasn't that stupid. And the word terrorist was not being used. And if you think of terrorism today, in 1968, I sort of said, what is a terrorist? And he said, oh no, it's a guerrilla fighter, but we don't call them guerrilla fighters anymore. We call them terrorists because their modus operandi now is to come in and find soft targets, like the woman driving with her child through the bush, or to come and someone's camped on the side of the road where they're doing a little survey, and that's the person they will attack. It's not your guerrilla warfare the way you had people in trenches, in ditches, fighting in the bush, but there was a difference between the two. And it's strange because that 1968 was the first time, it actually went back to 1966 when people started talking about terrorists. I'll always remember that.
Yeah.
Yes, it was just
We never
Interesting.
saw any activity like that, though. That was prior to the war,
Yes.
we
Your time back
never
then,
we
okay.
never felt unsafe.
And that's who Jan and them were looking for when they did their patrols.
Yeah.
They were looking for this new group of people that they called terrorista,
Yeah.
who would go to a village and just slaughter everyone.
What-
But when you think of the terrorist attacks in the world, it was foreign, you know.
Yes,
You
very
either had a
different.
war or you
What
didn't.
they were doing was monitoring people crossing the border illegally and coming into the various tribal regions there and stirring up
Conflict
conflict. Yeah,
between the indigenous people there,
Yes.
trying to get
mainly
them fighting
they're
with one
Wambo.
another. Okay.
Yeah. They predominantly, virtually the whole of the north in that area. Northwest was over Himbas, those ones that he showed you. They were not involved in that at all. It was the over the Ovambo. And of course, the colonial powers divided Africa up like they divided most of the world up without too much thought. And you slap a border post right in the middle of an entire Ovambo nation and put a border, and those live in that place and they can't cross, not allowed to cross the border.
Yes.
It was just quite silly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not really paying any attention to what's actually existing there
Yeah.
and the cultural impact of that, I guess.
Yeah.
So, I guess, let me think for a second. I'm going to have a quick look at my notes, and I think we should set up a little more. I mean, all of this is absolutely fascinating. I think we should maybe give a context of, you said before about the act of moving up, first of all, to the south of Namibia, and that giving you a taste for wilderness, which then inspired you to take the contract further up, which is building that huge road. But for people who don't know Namibia, or Southwest Africa as it was known then, what's the environment like there? When you got there, what was your impression? Like what?
The first time,
Yeah.
predominantly Afrikaans
Okay.
in the south, eh? Yeah.
And
We didn't see many. It was called German Southwest Africa
okay.
at one time, long ago. And South Africa was given a mandate to govern it. I don't know if you're aware
After the
of
Second World War.
no, it was after
Wasn't
the
it?
First World War. It was back in
Oh, it was the First World War.
1920 something.
Yeah.
It was given a mandate to govern by the United Nations.
Okay.
Yeah.
And have all the
And
minerals
A
from
lot
it.
of South Africans, Afrikaans folk, moved into Namibia.
Okay.
There were farms available and all that sort of thing. The Germans in Namibia were very much more confined to the Windhoek
Yes,
area, the
yes.
Homers Hochland,
You
whatever
know.
they call it. Yeah.
And Windhoek is actually
And
on the
Lüderitz,
coast.
it's
is that
further
right?
north. No, not at the coast. It's it's the capital of Namibia.
Okay, it's further
Yeah.
up, is it?
And then from there you'd go to the coast.
Okay.
A long way, like 300-400 kilometers to the coast, to Swakopmund and Lüderitz
Okay.
and those places.
And is Namibia, as general, I mean, like physically as a place, is it predominantly desert? It's very hot. Is that compared to say South Africa?
It's an extension actually of the Karoo and the Kalahari.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it goes, the same sort of thing goes through
Okay.
in the south.
Yes.
Not many trees.
More
a
bush,
lot
small
of
bushes.
alluvial, volcanic. I mean, just outside of Keetmanshoop is a dormant volcano.
Really?
Too, yeah. And I used to walk in the veld and just pick up garnets and thick beds of them like this.
Really?
Yeah. It's a fascinating place. It's actually so fascinating. We're still, some days, we're sorry that when that contract was finished in the north,
Yes.
that we didn't, like some people did, stay there. We sort of wanted to get back to the family, and of course, they offered us another job, and it was in Jeffreys Bay with all the
Yes.
surfing and
Yes.
The hippies and the
hippies and all
Americans.
that.
Okay, yeah,
So
Callum
we had-
told me a bit
They're
For
about that.
about 2 years, we had long hair. Lyn used to make leatherwork, make shoes,
And we met lots of people from the States there as well, surfers, and and I don't know where they are today, but they were very interesting people.
Yes.
And some of them used to grow their pot under the stretchers that they had in their tents, and then underneath these plants would be growing.
Okay.
Weed, pot, I don't know what you call it.
Yeah, no,
we
but
call
both
it
of those
dacha,
work.
yeah. Yes.
Okay.
And so that was
We
another
diversify. but
another
that-
story. Yes,
That
altogether.
was.
Well, I want to come back to that at some point.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
But go on. What were you going to say?
Everywhere we've lived, we've loved.
Well, that's good.
I think-
that says a lot about you as people as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would love to talk more about what was the nearest town in that area. I've got. Is it Rukana? Is that the?
No,
is that
there's no town in Ruakana. It was
just
an
an area.
airstrip.
Okay.
Then there
Yes.
was only an airstrip, not even an army base. There was nothing. Zilch, squat.
And what did you do for water there?
That was the contractor's problem.
He gave us a big
He
tank
had a
like this one.
massive camp
Okay.
because 180 kilometers of
Yeah.
road
Yeah.
with only 3 curves in it.
3
3
curves.
curves, yeah.
It's a very straight road. It's there now.
And they had a lot of staff. Their same people had been there to build the entire airstrip and the road coming through to it.
Yeah.
So they were fairly well entrenched. I'll tell you a story about them when we moved, but that was hilarious. I lose track a little bit now.
Tell me
if
the
I
story.
diversify, I forget what
That's
I was
okay. That's
talking
okay.
about.
I asked you about the water.
Oh, yes.
So the water supply.
There was a massive generator that ran the entire caboodle.
Okay.
You'd hear it. It ran all night and all day. And we're so
It was over there. So it was all
being
right.
on the consulting engineering side in those days, we didn't mix with the contractors.
Okay.
Yeah, we were the professional staff, and we lived outside of the camp area, but we still got our electricity and
Okay.
all the rest of it.
So did they pull the water out of the ground?
Yeah.
Okay, so they had like a
Yeah.
generator running a
they
pump
had
system,
boreholes and stuff.
boreholes.
Yes.
Okay.
And
And they
Mysterious.
filled tanks up in the air.
When they
so you
built
got
the
rain.
road, they had boreholes all the way down.
All the way along.
That road, you're probably not aware, was built for a military purpose to get stuff up there quick without having to go all the way around like we had to go to get there.
Yes.
Because it was built out of sand and calcrete. Calcrete is it's a white calcified rock.
Okay.
Looks like
Cement and chalk.
chalk. Yeah.
Chalk.
And years afterwards, I didn't go back to fight there or anything. I'd got to the age where I wasn't called up by the military.
Yeah.
But if you ask anybody who was up there, and they will talk about White Road, Witpad.
Witpad. Okay.
And the Swapo guys used to come over the border and mine it. They'd put landmines in it and blow all the vehicles up on this.
Mine it as
So
in,
they eventually decided about 2 years into the war to tar the bloody road so it wasn't so easy to come and put mines in it.
And to just
they put
destroy
those
it.
IEDs or EIDs. What are they
I
called?
think it's IED, improvised explosive
yes,
device.
yes.
Yeah.
They used to use those.
Ah, interesting.
But it was such an interesting, it was a lovely time.
And how many people? So you were talking about the process of like a whole infrastructure as you moved through this. Did you say 180 kilometers?
Yeah.
How many people were in this team building the roads?
Okay. There was, on my side, there was the engineer.
Okay.
He was the resident engineer. I was the ARE, assistant resident engineer.
Okay.
And I ran the laboratory which we tested the soil and all the rest of it on. The contractors' camp must have had, Lord, I don't even know how to think,
40 people.
40 or 50 people,
Okay.
families.
And then the families as well.
Yeah.
So it was a big
they all had
team.
families there, apart from the unmarried people who they had their own quarters and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I add a little saucy story for you?
Please do.
When the Afrikaans government took over, the Nationalist Party government, they had rules and regulations. You were not allowed to mix with, marry, or
fiddle with.
or have intercourse with any black person if you were a white person, and vice versa.
That's an actual
That was
rule.
an
That's a law.
absolute law.
It's a law.
No, it was a law, and because of
It's
that,
called the
and-
Immorality Act.
yes, and it was
Wow.
an Immorality Act passed, and because of that, when we went to Namibia, it didn't affect us in any way until one day, a Hungarian man that we knew, a young guy, nice, frisk young Hungarian chap, and he fancied a lady, and she was an Ovambo lady.
Okay.
So he he used to surreptitiously, when we sent for things, we'll tell you about this, sent for things to the shop far away, he would order beautiful nighties and pretty dresses and things that she didn't have, being a rural Ovambo in the bush. But they had this relationship, and I think they loved each other.
Yeah.
I think they were very fond of each other. But the rule, the Immorality Act, said if you were caught or found out by a policeman or anybody, if you were a married man with children, you were given 72 hours to leave the country. If you were single, you had 48 hours and you had to be out the country because you'd committed an Immorality Act. That's how strong the apartheid government rules were before Mandela came to power.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's something to think about.
That's pretty intense.
No, it is.
And did they ever get caught?
Yes, that's why I'm telling you, because this young man, Joshua, was asked to go back to Hungary and push off to his communist country and never come back.
And he had 48 hours to do it.
Yes, and she wept and wailed and cried at the gate, but anyway, she had to get over it and move on. Yeah,
That
seriously.
shop that you talk about was 500 kilometers away. And every single week on a Tuesday morning, what was the guy's name that drove it?
I can't
It doesn't
remember
matter.
his name.
Anyway, it was a contractor's man,
Okay.
drove this massive truck
Open,
all-
flat
open
truck.
back
Yes.
all the way to Tsumeb. Before he left, he'd come to your house and you give him a shopping list. I want a nightie at that place. I want
Aspirins
milk
at
and
the
I want 8 tins of condensed milk. And the chemist, you give him a list and give him a check.
You gave him empty checks,
A
blank
signed
checks,
check.
and you signed them.
And he'd take all these checks and the thing and he'd go down to Tsumeb.
And then fill them
And he'd
in.
be back on Friday night.
That's
with
a lot
all
of trust.
the goodies and the stuff. We didn't buy beer or anything because you could get it over the
Just over the border.
yeah. But,
And what
but
was
a
it?
strange life.
Yeah. What was it like?
No telephones, by the way.
No
No
telephones.
cell phones, no telephone, nothing with it. When I was up there 3 months before Lyn got there,
Okay.
and I used to talk to her on Friday nights over the radio. Over. And, yeah.
That's a funny thing as well, because my parents say it as well. That getting used to that
Yeah.
language
you
of
speak,
and then,
it's
over.
over. Yes, yes.
It takes a bit of getting used to, doesn't it?
yes.
So,
Yeah.
as you said, you were there for the 3 months before, and you were setting up the infrastructure of all the people who were working there and moving. Did you
No,
move,
no, that
move
is-
with the road as it was building?
No, that infrastructure, we did the first 100 and something kilometers.
From Ruakana.
From
itself.
Ruakana.
So you would travel there.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
Okay.
up and down that road all day. I'd leave in the morning and go out and come back in the afternoon
Wow.
because I needed to inspect culverts and bridges and all the sort of things that were
Yes.
going on. We left. We'd almost finished the first 100 kilometers. And they moved us south to just near the Etosha Pan, which was not as nice as the wild part. It was
They
still
moved
pretty wild.
everybody.
They moved everybody down
Further
to
north.
the new camp.
Okay.
Yeah.
Down
And
further
then
towards
we'd only been there a couple of months, and they came to me, the guy in charge of the consulting engineers company, and said, "Look, we've got a real problem with somebody. We need to get him up here where he can be mentored by this other guy because he's got a drinking problem or something.
Okay.
Would you like to go to Jeffreys Bay?" And we said, "Okay, fine,
By the
we'll go to
sea."
Jeffreys Bay." So that's how we got down to Jeffreys.
Yeah. Okay. Definitely do want to talk about Jeffreys more, but I'm just so fascinated about this whole time in Ruakana.
And also-
No, but this is nothing. Let me start.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. Can I just tell them about
No,
when I went up there for the second time?
Okay.
I went without Lyn.
Yeah.
And
Why did you go without Lyn?
Because I was tired of you.
Tell him why you
Oh.
went without Lyn, if you can remember.
No, I can't remember.
Because your second daughter was born in August.
And I
you
didn't
left
like
in
nappies.
August. So I stayed
Yeah.
with Mother dear
Yeah.
and Dad
Yeah.
and had 3 months being spoiled by my parents while he was away. When he came back at Christmas time,
Yeah.
from January, I took my
It's-
little baby and my other little baby with me.
The idea was I was taken on to do this job in Rokana, but it hadn't quite, the new job hadn't quite started.
Yes.
So they said, look, we need a soil survey done on the Hanub River, which is almost at the beginning of the bottom, the southern part of that job, because we were in the north. Now the Hanub Gorge and the Hanub River is where the desert elephants' headquarters are. When we went up there were hundreds of desert elephants. They were actually slaughtered later, but
Really?
yeah. And the guy who wrote this book, Mitch Reardon, I actually made contact with him, and he said to me, if you were in the Hanub Gorge in 1968, you're one of the few people that would ever have been there, and you are a most fortunate man. It was lovely.
Yeah. So what? How many? You said there were hundreds of elephants.
Well, there were over 100 and something elephants there, desert elephants.
And what was the environment? You said it was a gorge. Like, describe what this area
I'll
looked.
show it to you here.
It's a dry. Those rivers are all dry rivers.
They've all dried out.
They are actually not rivers. They're watercourses, I suppose.
Okay. So that's actually a dry riverbed you're showing
Yeah,
me
but
now.
that's not really.
Okay.
This is on the road north. It's not on that job at all.
Oh, no, okay. I was just, yeah.
So it's a big, like a
It
dry
was
riverbed.
just Mapani,
Which is a type of tree.
like type of tree that attract a little bee called Mapani flies in your nose and your eyes and ears all the time.
These are the bushes there. And the bushes.
Um,
And the bushes.
yeah, that's a sort of.
These are the
sort of
Mapani
place. Yeah,
bushes.
sort of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Hanub was dry at the time,
Okay.
very deep sand. And I was told the camp I was going to was about 25 kilometres along. No road, you just follow the river, you drive in the riverbed.
In the riverbed.
Yeah, and I was told, don't stop. Because if you stop, it's heavy sand and you're going down. And I came around the corner and there was a herd of these bloody elephant. Yeah, there's a picture somewhere. There's a herd of these elephants just around the corner. And I got a fright.
Yeah.
I thought, oh my God. And I took my foot off the bloody accelerator and put my foot in the clutch, and the bloody thing just went straight down into the sand, and there I was.
Stuck.
Couldn't move. So the elephant decided to come up the river. There was a whole herd of them. Now, they hadn't seen people. I mean, there weren't people there, white people especially.
Yes.
And I had
The elephants
I had
know you were
4 guys from the Transkei causes
Yes.
working for me, and they were in the van
Okay.
on the back. And they saw the elephant coming, and they ran up the bank and they climbed up a tree. And I sat in the middle waiting for these things to come. I'd never seen the damn things before.
You'd never
in my
seen an
life.
elephant before.
Anyway, somebody had to tow me out. And at night we had our camp there on the banks of this dry riverbed, and below us there was a spring. If you can understand, the water's there, but it's underneath.
Okay. It's like
underground.
flowing underground.
And then you get a seam of rock coming across the river, a riverbed, and the water will rise and go out and disappear again at the bottom.
So it just
we
appears
camped
like a spring.
just on the top there. And I'll never forget the first morning, waking up and we walked around, and I said to the guy who had been there for 2 weeks already, what are these footprints, spoor, all around the place? That's lion, that's hyena. We slept on stretchers.
In the open.
In the open, yeah.
And did you ever have any trouble with animals coming and bothering you when you were sleeping?
They walked right through the camp.
But they didn't wake you
No,
up?
they didn't wake us up. No, they didn't wake us up. When I first arrived, there's a a thing called the Odendaal Commission, which was, it was to enable the nationalist government to introduce an apartheid homeland kind of thing into Namibia.
Okay.
Because they tried to make it the same as South Africa.
Okay.
So they expropriated dozens of farms.
Okay.
And my first night was at this, before we went into the river, was at this farmhouse. And it was hot as anything. And I'm fresh from the town, I don't know too much about that. And we got in our stretchers, there was no plumbing intact from a water supply. There was a drum outside with a pump, and you'd shout water, and the guy would go like this, and he'd let you water in for a bath, or with a fire underneath it. And time for to go to bed. I thought, it's hot as hell in here. And there was a young guy from Namibia, and I said to the guys, where is he? And they said, no, he's on the veranda. I said, oh, well, I'm on the veranda, that's for me. Took my stretcher, put it on the veranda, put it next to his. But this is lovely stuff. My God, there was about half an hour.
Yeah.
It was this terrific roar. And I said to the guy, what's that? He said, oh, that's a male lion. He goes to come past under the house. Took my stretcher back inside again and closed the door.
When was do you remember, did you ever see any of the lions that were nearby?
There?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
But you just heard them and saw their
just heard
spoor.
them, yeah.
Saw their tracks.
No, we had to go back on holiday to go and see lions there. We went to Tosha.
Okay. Let's have a break. Let's pause.
You'll have to edit that.
Yeah, that's fine.
I was just going to say, the lions, when they roar, their roar carries 2 or 3 kilometres.
Wow.
So it can go further, but
Yes.
that's kind of the main distance that you'll pick it up. So should they roar when they are closer than that, they say it actually almost shakes your rib cage. It's so
You
strong.
feel the
You
bass.
feel it, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's
It's
amazing.
very strong.
So, in this time that the roads were being built, you were at home looking after your...
For 3 months I was at home, yes.
Okay.
I spent 3 months back in Natal with my folks on the farm. They've always farmed in Natal. On the farm with my 2 little girls. And then as soon as Kerry was 4 months old, there's that one picture of 2 little children at the river. She was 4 months old by the time she got there. She just learned to sit.
Okay.
And so I took the 2 girls and I joined Mike and we went and lived there. We started off in a funny square box of a caravan for 2 weeks. Then we moved into what we call in South Africa park homes. It was 1, 2, 3 park homes with a roof over the middle. So that was our home.
Oh, which is like a permanent kind of trailer, sort
Yes,
of a
yes,
movable
like 3
trailer.
trailers, yes. I think in the States they call them RVs.
Yes. Well, I think it's a bit like a mobile home.
Mobile home, yes.
That kind of situation.
Yes.
Okay.
So there would be 3 mobile homes and then a roof over the whole thing. And you would stay there. I did the washing, the ironing, the cooking. The babies, the children, the nappies, the diapers, that was my
And what
my
was
role.
what was that like? You were a mum at that point when you first moved up there? Was that right?
No,
Or
no.
beforehand you knew the ropes. But
Yes.
what was it like for you when you first got up there and it's like super wild?
The first night I was very tired because we'd flown from Durban. But I remember waking up the next morning and opening the door and looking out at the bush and thinking, and looking back at my 2 girls and thinking, what have I done? Mum was so comfortable with Mum and Dad, you know.
Yeah.
But I got used to it. And then the other thing that really freaked me out was there were some ants. I swear they were in Shillong. And we had eaten, Mike had gone to the mess late. We'd arrived late, he'd got food for us. We'd eaten, and I just, because I didn't have a sink inside the small caravan we were put to start with, I went outside and looked at the plates, and they were just crawling with these ants. We'd put the plates on the step outside, so we could sleep without plates in the room. Oh, and that was quite an experience.
How did you get the ants off?
I didn't. I just took the plates, put them in a packet, and put them around the corner and asked somebody else to do it.
You're lucky you didn't carry them away.
No, they were nasty ants. They were big. I suppose about half an inch long. No,
Yeah,
that was scary.
that sounds
no,
big.
but we only spent how many nights, Mark? About 4 nights.
I can't
In
remember.
It was
the,
only
is
about
that in
4
the
nights.
caravan?
Yes, and then they had these 3 park homes ready for us. We stayed in the 3 park homes for about 2 months, and then our proper 3-bedroomed house made of asbestos panels,
Okay.
asbestos, was ready for us with an air conditioner, with a bath, with a sink, with everything in
Okay,
it.
so
The
you had
house-
air conditioning in the first thing. The question I have is like, you were in that caravan. What time of year was
The
it? Was
small-
it incredibly hot?
Yes, it was. It was January.
Air conditioner in each one.
Oh, you had
Everything had
all
an
night.
air conditioner.
In the caravan, you
Yes.
had one as well.
Yes.
Well, that's lucky,
So
I
we
guess.
did have air conditioning.
Yeah. No, the house that we were supposed to get,
Mm.
a contract to build a road down to the proposed hydroelectric scheme.
Oh, okay.
They needed electricity up there too, so the people, South African Defence Force people organised that as well.
Mm.
They brought out a contract, they built a road from where we were down to the Kunini River, and they built a small hydro plant to run the operation that they were going to. We didn't know they were going to move this entire military thing up into that area in the years to come.
Yes.
And yeah,
I think their war that they had, their bush war, I think that was planned 4 or 5 years before it actually happened. I think they knew from the odd terrorist attacks that we said those policemen used to do the rounds for,
Yeah.
they knew the terrorists were coming. They knew that the Angolans and the Mozambicans, which was a Portuguese colony, the other side of South Africa, you know where Mozambique is,
Yes.
and then that's how they
Portuguese
watched
East
Angola.
Africa and West Africa.
Yes,
Okay.
and they knew that the Portuguese were being pushed to give the locals their independence, as with most of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And so they planned their war because they were not going to give it back.
While we were there, the Portuguese were still in Angola. It was only in the later years, that a few years later, that they bailed out and left this whole mess behind them.
Huh.
What
But
year
I
is?
think the South African Defence Force had good comms with them, and they knew it was coming. You know?
So the people you said that were doing this whole loop repeatedly, keeping tabs on the border,
Yeah.
did they ever tell you any stories of interactions they had with people?
I don't know if I can tell you these stories.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
And I can tell you, but I can't tell you if they're true or not.
Okay, well, that's fine.
Yeah. We heard some quite hair-raising stories about what was going on at
The
that time.
helicopters over the sea.
And what, Lyn?
The helicopters
Yeah.
over the sea.
The
I mean,
helicopters.
It could be your story from what you told, that's fine.
Helicopter would come in from. Okay, let me go back a little bit.
Okay.
The arrangement of Omboland was never, at that stage, was not included in our permission, South Africa's permission to militarily move in there.
Okay.
There was a borderline further down at near Oshakati, about 250 kilometers further west, east.
Okay.
And we had troops, South Africa had troops there, and they were patrolling the Caprivi Strip, which is that piece that runs away on the eastern side of Namibia. But there was no activity at the top. And they say, I've lost what I was saying.
I asked you about the story you were saying about the helicopters.
Oh, yes. That on numerous occasions, the helicopters would arrive.
Mm.
They
At a village.
disappear off, and I'd ask Jan, what sort of activity? No. There's a couple of guys, head chiefs, that have been giving support to the people over the border,
Yeah.
and they would take them from there,
Load
load them into the helicopters, take them down to the Skeleton Coast, which is the Namibian coast, South African coastline,
Okay.
and drop them off about 200 metres behind the back row of waves.
do what armies do.
Oh.
Wow.
And you finish if you know anything about Namibia, Southwest Africa, that coastline is dreadful. You could not be dropped into the water. It's freezing cold, 200 meters from the back line. It's a terrible sea. There's so many shipwrecks.
So you mean dropping people in the ocean?
Drop me out the helicopter into the sea.
Just push them out the helicopter.
Then they're no more problem. We don't have to kill them. We just throw them out the helicopter.
Just ditch them out. Wow, that's terrible.
No, there's some nasty things.
That coastline was terrible. I can remember there was a big shipwreck there called the Dunedin Star. Remember that? Before our time. But they managed to get most of the people off the liner, the boats, liner, onto the shore. Quite a lot of them. But it was a horrific story because they were stuck on this wild place with no water, no food, and this. Why I mention it is because in order to get to the Dunedin Star, the army in that time sent jeeps, the American jeeps, through the Hanub to the coast, to get to the coastline to find these people. Quite a story, yeah.
So it must have taken them a long time to get through.
Oh, they were there for quite a while, and a lot of people died.
Just perished.
Yeah.
There's not really any cover from sun protection.
No,
or
it's
anything
called the
there,
Skeleton Coast, and that's the reason. There are just so many ships along the shore.
There's so many stories about the Skeleton Coast, especially further down. I mean, because that was the northern Cape and the southern Namibian coastline.
Okay.
It was very, very rich in diamonds. So there was always lots of stories. If you read, I wish I could remember that name, the guy that wrote those books, Lyn.
Lawrence Green?
Lawrence Green.
Okay.
Lawrence Green, right. Do yourself a favour, find some Lawrence Green books.
Okay, I'm going to write that down.
He was a prolific writer. He lived in South Africa, and he wrote so many books about Cape Town and the Tavern of the Seas, and all these stories about the boats and stuff on the Namibian coasts and the southwest.
And it's
they were beautiful books, and they're factual.
okay.
I don't like
Novels.
I don't like novels. I won't read novels.
No embellishments.
I know. I like facts. Anyway, we're diversifying.
You must get back to...
To what?
I forget what I'm...
Yes, you must get back to Rukana.
That's okay though, because I also forget. We can just go around and it's interesting hearing all the stories because all of it's context and all of it's interesting. So don't worry.
I'll tell you a story about Rukana one night, if you're interested.
Oh my word.
Okay.
I know what's coming.
We all went to bed.
It was a Saturday night, the
fast
night you
asleep,
have a party.
And about midnight, after midnight, we heard gunshots. And they were coming from a certain direction, and we didn't know what it was all about, but bullets were flying around left,
And one
right,
hit
and
the
centre.
roof.
So we loaded the two kids, into the bath.
I put a blanket
For
in the
protection.
bath.
Yes.
Put the blankets in the bath. We put the kids in the bath. I ran out the back door, left Lyn inside with a 303, and I had a believe it or not, a 9mm Mannlichter, Second World War assault rifle.
Okay.
Yeah. I ran with the assault rifle, and in the back of the clearing there was a big pit that we threw our rubbish into. Well, I dived into the pit and I returned the fire. There was a bloody battle going on left, right and centre. Anyway, now I'm concerned because the house next door to us, which is probably 100 metres away, is the engineer and his wife. But they're not coming out. They must be dead. They must be dead.
They must have been shot.
They must
With
have
all
been
this
shot or
gunfire,
something.
Yeah.
They've
So I
got to
thought,
be
well,
dead.
how am I going to wake them up if maybe they're sleeping because they drank like fishes? So I got stuck into a barrel outside their bedroom window with a 9mm Mannlichter, shot holes into the drum was jumping around to try and get them to wake up. They slept through the whole thing. Anyway,
They were
all the
asleep.
shots died down.
Yeah.
We just...
They drank brandy and beer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The two of them.
Anyway, it all went quiet. So I climbed out of the hole, we went back to bed, and the next morning,
Oh, and the
the
policeman
police
came past.
the police guys came down, and they said, "Friend, what went on here last night?" So we said, "This is people were shooting at us." He said, "People were shooting at you." He said, "What were you doing?" So I said, "I was returning the fire." He said, "But you were shooting straight up the road, up the hill, a little tarred road up to the airport. And that's where they slept. And the bullets were hitting the road, so they smashed windows in the place where they were sleeping. They were all lying on the floor, and they said they came past, and if I'd shot at them, they would have opened fire on me, because they didn't know what was going on either. And the engineer and his wife slept through the whole bloody thing.
They sent detectives up from Windhoek. They
Oh,
sent
my,
police
it was
investigators
quite an
from
investigation,
Windhoek.
eh?
It was quite a thing. And
I
then-
thought we were being attacked.
And what did they decide
No, it was
when
two
in the
guys. It
investigation?
was two guys from the contractor's camp.
from the cooker shop.
They'd been across the board in the cooker shop and got paralytically drunk and thought it was funny to fire a few shots. And when they had the investigation, they confessed to it, and they confessed it when the bullets started flying. That's when they left. But I was still shooting, and I was shooting at where the shots had come from, and it was in a direct line with the cop shop on the hill. And bang, bang.
We'd had a picnic at the river, and for quite a few weeks we'd had feral sort of pigs
Yes.
that the Avombos claimed were theirs, but each time they raided our garden, these pigs, and each time that happened, Mark would send out the word and say, whoever has got pigs in my garden, one of these days I'm going to get angry and shoot them. So he'd put the word out, and
Yes.
his two calls
Nobody owned them.
And nobody, yes, he wanted to speak to the owners and discuss it and say, let your pigs come in. Anyway, nobody came. So now this was about the fourth time that this had happened. We'd been at a picnic, and we'd come home late in the afternoon, and it was time to put the girls to bed and give them their supper, and we were at our little house, and our garden had been raided, and Mark saw the pigs over there. So he took his manlicha and he shot 3 pigs dead. So now he'd killed these pigs. So that night when we slept, we thought, one of the thoughts in our heads was
Retribution.
that the owners had come back, because they used to carry guns occasionally too.
Yes.
They could get hold of firearms. We thought maybe they were shooting at us. So that added to the drama of...
Oh, so this was beforehand.
Yes,
You thought that
yes.
this was the retribution coming.
Yes, we thought that. But it wasn't. It was a totally separate thing. And the two merry boys had come past and they were shooting at us. And hitting our roof, and the tiles, the tin was making that noise with the bullets. Oh, no.
That must have been terrifying.
I've seldom been that scared.
I can imagine.
I was really afraid that night.
So, Mike, you said before we actually started recording about hunting for food, to supply food for everyone.
I used to carry the 303,
Which is a rifle, right?
and the shotgun in my bucky
Always.
when I
Okay.
worked, and we'd often get impala crossing the road reserve where we were building.
Yes.
So I'd pop 1 or 2 off there for the pot,
Yes.
because we couldn't buy meat anywhere.
No.
We went once down further south with the SAP guys, policemen. They had permission to shoot. We didn't have permission.
Okay.
So we went with them one Saturday morning, and I think we came back with a bucky load of springbuck.
Okay. The back of the truck.
Literally massive herds of springbuck.
How many did you see? Like, what was it?
The herds, Mark.
How big were the herds?
Probably about a couple of hundred anyway.
Wow.
In one place. We drove into the middle of them. It was actually ridiculous. I shot a few out the window while we were driving. They were so close to the vehicle.
Wow.
Yeah. It didn't give me a lot of pleasure. Callum and I differ a little bit on hunting.
Mm.
I hunted because I had to. I had shot in Natal guinea fowl and stuff like that, but later in my life I didn't. I don't like it anymore. So that's just different. Now to talk about Angola, the fence would run past where the guy with the gate, but once it got to the river, which was about 5 kilometers away, the old fence got rustier and rustier and rustier until when it got to the top of the Ruacana Falls, the fence was virtually non-existent. And I used to go down sometimes in the evening, take the shotgun with me, climb over into Angola, and I'd walk. So stupid, really. There's lion, there's leopards, there's buffalo, there's all this crap everywhere. I used to go with a 12-bore shotgun with a few birdshot and walk up the river and shoot geese. And then one day one of the contractors had a boat. So we took a boat there and we launched top of the falls and we went up the river with the thing. Well, I had a box of shells with me and I stood in the boat. We went past islands on that river where there could not have been less than 5,000 Egyptian geese and a mixture of Egyptian geese and
they used to make the sky dog if they went
Spurwing.
into the air.
Spurwing geese, yeah.
Say again, what type of geese?
Spurwing geese.
Spurwing geese.
Spurwing geese and
Okay.
Egyptian geese,
Yeah.
on the river. And we were a bit we're still young and naive, you know. And we come from Natal and the city, and we didn't know enough. And I mean, a lot of these duck on the banks of those rivers are reeds. You've probably seen them in movies. There's thick reeds about 3 meters high on the banks of the river. And some of these the geese had fallen in there, and I jumped out the boat, and I was in the reeds fishing these bleeding ducks out of the thing. And only afterwards somebody said to me, "What about crocodiles?" I said, "You know, I never thought." Yeah.
Well, you luckily didn't see any. I was wondering about a hippo as well, but I guess you wouldn't have hippo there.
No, I never saw
There were
hippos. There are hippos, but
there
we
are
never
hippos
saw them.
in the Ruacana River because we decided one day that we were tired of the bush. You do get tired of the bush. You actually go a little bit silly in the head.
Call it bosmal.
They call it bosmal in
Which means
Afrikaans, which is
bush
bush
crazy.
mad.
Yeah, okay.
Bush crazy, yes. So it was decided amongst the engineers and the surveyors, because we were the South African group, Mike and I and our family, Ken and Anne, who were the engineers, and their family. Then there were surveyors, and Mike Judd was another engineer that was on another project.
Yeah, there were a couple of other contracts in the area.
So because there were other contracts as well, we got those sort of people, we grouped with them. And they decided that we'd have a picnic, and we would travel 40 or 50, kilometres down the river, following the river down, on a dirt track, and we'd all go in trucks and four-wheel drives where possible, Land Rovers, etc. And we'd spend a night on the river. So we did this. We had a braai. We spent the night on the river, we had lovely braai, but all night somebody had to get up and guard the fire because of the hippos. So there were hippos in that river. They didn't want the hippos to come because the story with the hippo is if you get between, the hippo will always leave the water at night to go and graze. That's how he eats. But if you get between him and his way back to the river, he will kill you. There's no question about it. They kill more people than any other animal
More
in
than
Africa.
crocodiles or anything.
Yes, more
Really?
than crocodiles, elephant, lion, everything is the hippo. He's the
Dead.
worst. So we had to keep our fire roaring all night.
We went
So-
we went down the river. Not a lot of
About
people had
12,
ever
15 of us.
Okay.
been down there. There's a place called Swat Boys Drift, about 40, 50 kilometres downstream from where we were living. And it's called Swat Boys Drift because the Afrikaners, I can't remember the dates now, Lyn, but they got fed up with the Engels people in South Africa and they decided to bugger off to Namibia. They lost so many of them crossing over below the Okavango, what was that place called? The Ngedi, north of the Kalahari.
The pans.
Yeah. Ngedi pants. And then they went into Namibia and they crossed the river into Angola
Okay.
at Swartboys Drift. Because there was a sort of a crossing into where the river was wide and it was wasn't
Shallow.
deep. Yeah.
Okay.
And they were given farms in Angola. But the whole thing turned sour and they eventually came back to the Transvaal.
You
But
said
if you
that some
read
of them were
about that
lost.
trip,
You said that some of them were lost. Is that you were talking about the hippos, and then we were kind of talking about was it from the crossing the rivers that was the issue, or you said that?
Now, Swartboys Drift, was that the story about the men who died there? One of them died.
No,
and
no.
His
There
friend
were
didn't have
two.
anything to
There were
bury
two
him in.
policemen. There were two policemen stationed at Swartboys Drift.
Yes, always.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I never met them or anything, but
No.
it was long before our time.
Okay.
And the one of them got
Malaria or something? Yes.
The other guy tried to get help. Anyway, the man died, and we went to Swartboys Drift, and we went to the
Went to the
graveyard
grave, yeah.
Wow.
where
Okay.
he had to bury his sidekick
In a wardrobe.
In a wardrobe.
Because he.
So he dug a huge grave to fit the
grave,
wardrobe
put
in.
the wardrobe
to
in,
put
and
friend
put
in
the man in the wardrobe closed.
In the ground.
He didn't just put him in the ground, yes. He used their wardrobe, took the clothes out, put the man in it, and then realised he had to dig a very big grave. But fortunately it's sandy, so he dug a double grave almost, wider.
Yes.
And put his friend in the wardrobe, put it on top, put the stones on top. But later, people came back after the story and they've put a cairn there, a little stone monument thing, and they've made a story of it.
Yes.
But it was also a place where, as Mark said, the Doorsland trekkers,
That's it. The Doorsland trekkers.
the thirsty land trekkers,
Yes.
adventurers, or whatever you want to call them, trekkers. They were looking for land and they went up into Angola, were given farms which was too difficult for them, so they came back again.
Ah.
And
Many-
they lost a lot
They
of them.
lost lots of people.
Yes, they lost lots of people to malaria and the fevers and the things that you get up there.
It was I think it was a time of Cecil John Rhodes and Chamberlain and people.
Having adventures.
Yeah, they didn't like the fact that the English were holed up in Joburg, making all the money, and they were not getting treated well. If you read historical books, they were not being treated well by the British, and they wanted the hell out of it. They go somewhere else.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
I must just add here
Yeah.
that the British were very cruel to the Afrikaners, and they did the typical British colonial thing, and the Afrikaners were very happy. And when they got back into power in 1948, because they had been ousted, they'd run South Africa for a while, then they were ousted by the Brits, and then when they got back in again in 1948, before 1948, the then president of the Nationalist Party, Afrikaans Party, had driven the length and breadth of South Africa, and he said the poverty he saw was mind-boggling.
Yes.
And it was always the Afrikaans people. So they motivated them all to vote. In 1948, they came back into power. And that's when apartheid was born. You will not fish on Sundays. If you wear a mini dress like the rest of the world, that's fine. But when you kneel on the floor, it can only be 4 centimetres above your knee. The Immorality
The schools
Act.
used to measure the girls' dresses.
Yes.
Yes, they used to
Not
measure.
long enough.
Yes, they used to, it was a school rule. And another thing too,
Calvinistic.
Yeah.
when I was a
yeah.
child growing up, I was at boarding school, and every year a government nurse used to arrive at the school, and she had 1 or 2 other ladies with her. And you, as a small child, not the older girls, but the smaller children, we had to take our gym slips off. Now we were just in these big cotton bloomers. And we would go past the school nurse, and she'd look
You're
in
not
our
recording
throats.
this.
No,
Yeah.
wait now. She would make you open your mouth, she'd look in your ears, look in your eyes, and then she would pull your bloomers forward and then go boink and let the elastic go. I didn't understand what this was. So I went home one weekend and I said to my mum, we had to stand with no clothes on except our bloomers in front of the school nurse, the government nurse. And my mum said yes. She said, did she pull the elastics? I said yes. She said, oh, she was checking if you're a white child or not. And I went home and told my mum that story they told her. The next term, when the school started again, I went back to boarding school, and my friend from Umzimkhulu, who I liked very much, was not there. And the reason she wasn't there was because she was a coloured child. She had colour in her family.
Ah.
So that was how they operated. So just to show you what a harsh, nasty thing it was.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a country too where, when I was growing up, if I went to the post office to fetch a letter or to post a letter or whatever it was in those days, I had a queue and it said whites only, and the other people, the black people, had a queue, blacks only. And that's how we grew up like that.
That must have been quite a...
Now when I
yeah.
look back, it's absolutely shocking. At the time, I was involved with my own life, and only my friend not coming back made me start to think about what was going on.
You know the buses,
Incredible.
the Pullman buses that run into town,
like
big
Greyhound
bus,
buses.
Okay.
Into town.
Used to have a partition,
Really?
a quarter of the way down, and if you were white, you got into the front section, and the black people got into the back section. They were never allowed to mix.
Wow. Yeah, very
You
different.
couldn't-
Very different time.
Here's a story for you, short one. You couldn't. The border between the Orange Free State and the Cape.
Yes.
Okay. You were not allowed to fish in the Free State
On a Sunday.
on Sundays.
Okay.
But if you lived in the Eastern Cape and you were on the opposite bank, you could fish on Sundays.
Sunday. Because it was a Free State
That's
rule.
just like a control. They controlled everybody. They had influx control, which my argument today, and this is the only time I'll ever talk politics. My argument today is what we need is influx control in Cape Town,
Yeah.
because they are killing that beautiful city. There are too many people doing nothing, don't have jobs, using electricity, water. Cape Town is short of water. It's short of everything, and it's being swamped. And the Afrikaner's answer to this was, we have influx control, it means you want to go and work in Cape Town? We'll see if there are any vacancies there. If there are no vacancies, you can't go to Cape Town. That's how controlling they were.
Yes,
Yes.
but every city would like that.
Yes.
Every city
Yeah.
would like that, but they can't have it. There are too many of us.
Ah.
That's where we are.
I mean, Lyn had a girl working for her when
A
she
lady.
did leather work in Pietermaritzburg. Wasn't that wouldn't?
There's a lady called Betty.
Yeah.
And Betty, in
You need to talk louder,
in
Lorraine.
Pietermaritzburg in the 80s, I had a lady work for me. She helped me with leather work. I had a small business. And she lived over there, like you could sort of point your finger to a group of houses far in the distance.
Yeah.
And she was not allowed. They had decided who lived on the outskirts, which is always the black people, and who would be allowed to work in that suburb. And I wasn't allowed to have Betty in my suburb. So they wouldn't let me have Betty to work. So I went to the offices and I had an argument with Mr. Whitby. I'll never forget it. And I said to him, I said, it's cruel and nasty. She needs the job. I need the person. Please let me
Yes,
take her.
yeah.
No, he wouldn't. And he said, you know, Mrs. Methley, you're a married woman. You've got three children, because I had three, but we'd since had Callum. He said, you've got three children. He said, you will find yourself in jail if you don't behave yourself. Now go home and you're not employing Betty. I was just told. That was it. So you were...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
Anyway, so
it's-
that's South Africa for you, and that's what we've been through and got rid of. Yeah, so
It's definitely not without bumps.
yes. But this also extended into Namibia. That's why we had the mandate to look after Namibia, and they said no. The international court said no, that's enough now. And then, that's part of the history of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
That's pretty wild, I have to say. My wife was born in 1985. When she first went to school, it was the first year that classes were once again allowed to be mixed again.
In South Africa?
In South Africa.
Yes,
So-
85.
So she has a memory, for her, she has a memory of her mum asking her after her first day, what was it like? Were there, how many black people were there? How many coloured people were there? And her response was she doesn't know. She just couldn't tell. There was just all kids playing, and she didn't know who
We've
was
got
what.
2 great-grandsons here. They don't even know what that's about.
Yeah,
They don't even know what it's about.
it's something
Lovely.
which kind of becomes something
Yes,
you're taught.
yes,
I think maybe.
yes.
Yeah, but we're kind of going off track a little bit here.
Yes,
let
we
me bring us.
I need a wee.
Yeah,
Yes, I'm after you.
Oh, go. if you-
yeah, we can have a break for a second. Let's do it.
I'm going to have a glass of water.
I'm going to have a cup of tea.
Now, this picture has a story because you see these fellas here, they're running.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a dry river bed down just past the house. Okay. This is what they used to do on a Sunday.
Okay.
Go down to the river, and the elephant would be here, and if
These-
the water,
That size. They're
Wow.
the biggest elephants on the continent.
So
If
they're
the
like
wind-
5 tons or something like that.
if
Or
the wind
Seven.
was blowing,
7 tons.
if the wind was blowing in the right direction,
Mm.
these 3 white boys from bloody Joburg would go down. That's how boss mile they had got. They go down and they would pull the elephant's tail. Because the elephants hadn't heard them, and the wind was blowing from the elephant's tail.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the elephants would get angry and turn around and see them. And this is them on the way back from the elephant running to their vehicle.
Wow.
I never did anything like that. Never.
That we know of. Mark had a tooth out in Oshakati. There was a military hospital at Oshakati, and if you got toothache, that was the only place you could go, and he can explain to you. Ask him when he comes back about his tooth episode.
Okay, I will.
His dentistry in Oshakati.
Oshukatu. Yeah.
O-S-H, Osh, A, Osha, Kati, K-A-T-R.
Oshukatu.
Where's my tea? Mark is the storyteller in our family. No one laughs or overly enjoys my stories. They're a bit bland. But Mark is the storyteller. He's
I think
been the one around the fire.
You have
And
good stories.
I have a few. But he's always been the storyteller in the family.
Do you have any stories that you like to tell from?
You know, for me, it was quite a strange episode. I did what moms do. They get up in the morning, they see to the children.
Yes.
They make the beds, they sweep the floor, they go into the kitchen, they wash the bath out. You know, those.
Yeah.
I did sort of the boring mom things, but I did used to have afternoons to myself.
Mm.
The girls would sleep midday, and then in the afternoon, before Mark got back, I would take the push chair. I don't know if you call it a push chair.
Yeah.
But
Like
I'd
a
take
buggy,
the push
yeah,
chair
yeah.
with one child and one running next to me, and we'd go for a walk and we'd do things. We'd find flowers and pick them and press them and make cards later, and we'd do the mom things, you know.
Yeah.
So that was how I had to.
You're just out enjoying the nature.
Yes, and occasionally I'd bump into, with my pushchair, I'd bump into this huge big vehicle coming at me with these Portuguese soldiers with all their bullets around here and their guns, and they'd show off and pop a bullet in the air, and they were supposed to be big macho, you know. And,
What did your daughters? How did they react?
and they were that big and tiny. The tiny one took no notice. Tracy used to hold on my leg.
Ah.
The youngest child, Kerry, Tracy lives here, and her daughter lives there, and I live here, so 3 generations here. Kerry lives up in town, and she's got a simplex. I don't know if you've met her at Callum's or anything.
No.
Anyway, she was so yay big, 4 months, 5, 6, 7, 8, like that.
Tiny.
And she only knew Mark and I, and Ken and Anne next door, and the occasional visitors would come past. But mostly our visitors used to come when she was already asleep in bed. She went to bed with when the sun went down, Kerry went to sleep.
Yes.
So she didn't see lots of people. There were only 2 or 3 other small children that they could play with. So when we left for the first time to go to Windhoek, which was a long, long way away, and I took her with me, we went into Woolworths. She screamed the whole time. She clung to me and she screamed and she was terrified of people.
Really?
And then I had to take her, excuse me, back to the car. I had to take her to Mike and say, you sit in the car with her toys and I'll go and do the shopping, whatever it was. But that's like at the end of the year when we were leaving for a Christmas holiday.
Yes. Huh.
We travelled a long way back to Natal to spend the 3 weeks with our families. Mike's parents were also in Natal.
That must have been a
We
nice
bought
time.
we bought a new car in Windhoek. We'd flown down. Did you tell the story? We'd flown down, and we took Tracy. That's my eldest with us. We left the other one with the engineer's wife.
With the engineer's wife.
And we were told there was a lift with a light aircraft to go to Windhoek. Now it's a long way away.
Okay.
So we get up early in the morning and we go to the other contractor's camp, which is about 60 kilometres back towards the east. And we go to the airstrip. Well, it was a concrete airstrip and we'd had rain and it was just a mud bath.
Oh no.
So we said to the guy, what are we going to do now? Are you going to go? Yeah, he's just going to wait until it dries out enough and he can start hopping the thing before the end of the runway with a bunch of trees at the end. Anyway, at about 11 o'clock he decided it was okay, dry enough to go. So we get in the aircraft and then off we go. We get 3/4 of the way down the runway, we still haven't taken off and the trees are coming. And he's got a problem, the wheels are sticking in them.
Oh no.
I tell you what, we cleared the trees. I could see the tree just underneath me. Anyway, turns out this guy is a learner. There are no rules up there. He's a learner. And we get to Windhoek, now he's going to go into land in Windhoek. So in Windhoek there's a mountain range on the side, and he comes into land, and there's a hell of a bang in the aeroplane. So I say to him, what the hell was that? And he says, I don't know. You didn't tell the passengers.
Yeah.
He doesn't know. We bought this vehicle, and now we can either go the long way around or we can go the short way around, where we're going to build the road. And there's only a sand track.
Okay,
So
just
we
the sand
decided
road.
to go on the sand track.
For the 180
Yeah,
or how far
yeah,
was it?
100. Well, it was longer than that. It's nearly maybe
Ochiwarongo.
270 kilometres
200.
through the bush.
Didn't we turn off at
And we
Ochiwarongo?
go. We just drove north. That's basically what happened. We went through a herd of elephants. Lyn counted them. When she got to 189, she ran out of breath. We were going in the same direction as they were going, and I spent time diving off the track into the bush to overtake one. I didn't want to stop. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
We were very silly.
Yeah. Very stupid. That's very stupid.
What, amongst the elephants?
Yeah.
But what were you supposed to do?
Well, it's supposed to go the long way around.
Now,
I was supposed to go. If we'd had a problem there, been attacked, fallen, had an accident, broken a wheel,
Who's going to find you?
who's going to find them? And I mean, on the way out, in that same little vehicle, we were on the main road. The front stub axle collapsed. I mean, you would have waited for 2 weeks with a baby for somebody to come down that road again. It wasn't a used road.
How much? You didn't have a lot of water or anything with you?
No, nothing.
now
Probably a pie.
when we were told we were going to Jeffreys Bay, we organised the contractor concerned, or the civil engineers, I can't remember which company, organised it used to be like a container, but it was on wheels, and a truck drove it, and it would go into the outlying areas, and it came and fetched all our furniture. So
Okay.
now there was just us and our suitcases. We slept one night, and tomorrow morning we're leaving in Namibia for good. Bye-bye to everybody, and we're going. On the way down, we'd gone, I think, about 20 or 30 kilometres. There was another herd of elephants, much smaller and very quietly grazing, just a breeding herd, which means there were no bulls amongst it. And so the females were going along, and Mike
Little
saw,
babies.
and the babies, and Mike saw the elephants. They said, oh, there's elephant up ahead, we'll just stop carefully. So we pulled up, we stopped. Our two girls were in the back. There was a basket in between us with the water and the food and fruit if they wanted it, etc., etc. They had their blankets and their pillows, and we were heading out. As Mark stopped like this, he was looking to see, and he said, "Oh, you know what? There are 3 or 4 babies have gone past, and 2 mothers. I can't see anymore. I think it's fine. We'll go now." And to be able to see them, he had got out of the car and stepped onto that board where the door closes.
Yes.
It wasn't a running board, but it was a piece. And he looked forward like this. And then as he turned to get into the car, he looked back, and about 2 meters from the boot at the back was the biggest elephant he'd seen. I think she was a female, because if it had been a bull elephant, it would have been more aggressive. It was a female elephant, and I was terrified that my little girls would screech or make a noise or say something. So I said, "Kerry, would you like a banana? Tracy, have a sweetie, anything just for peace." And Mike quickly got in and off we went. But that was another experience with the elephants. Yeah, so...
That sounds amazing.
I've forgotten all these things, actually.
Did you have any other interactions with elephants? Did they ever come and interfere with things that were going on?
But we were told about the elephants pushing the cables at the dam.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that?
They had a water source for the road.
Yes.
This was told to
and
us.
the elephants kept on going there. So they put big poles and concrete around. They put cables around, and they're not stupid, you know. They went to the dam. They couldn't get in, and they put their backsides under the cable and stood up, and just pulled the poles. The poles just come out the ground.
Really?
Yeah, that's not a hell of a story. But
And they wanted the water. Then the people put the pegs in. They put steel pegs in so they'd hurt them. And they would go to the first one and twist their trunks around, get the peg out, and then slide on their knees a little bit further, take the next peg out, take the next peg out, and get into the water, go back to the same place. Now there were no pegs, and out again. So they had a narrow place in and out of the water.
Funny. It's amazing when you watch. I've been lucky enough to see some elephants. Obviously, nothing like you guys, but I think watching elephants, you can just see the way they're thinking as they move. And one of them was found a bit of I don't know, irrigation piping or water piping in the ground, and they were just playing with it with their trunk, playing with it, pulling it out the ground and swinging it around, and just kind of thinking about what, I don't know. It was amazing. Okay, I've been given a tip. I need to ask you about a dentist story in Oshakati.
The toothache story.
The toothache story.
Jesus.
You won't tell me.
I had a couple in Namibia. You think I'd never go back there? When I was in Keetmanshoop, I went to the dentist and he said, "All your top teeth are rotten, I'm going to take them out." And I said, "When?" He said, "Now." He gave me 5 injections into my gum and pulled them all out. I walked out into the street and the temperature was about 40 degrees. And I sent a message for Lyn to come and fetch me. And I walked into the street and I just dropped like a ton of bricks on the pavement. I collapsed. It was so bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, the one in I got toothache, terrible toothache. And I went all the way to Oshakati. It was 250 kilometers away. I get to I said, "Where do I find a dentist?" No, there's no dentist here, but the army dentist is up there. So went to the army dentist, and there was a guy, looked like he was about 17. And I said, "Are you the dentist?" He said, "Yeah, well, sort of." So I said, "But I mean, can you look at my tooth?" He said, "Yeah, no, I can look at your tooth." So he said, "Sit in this chair." So I said, "Haven't you got a dentist chair?" "No, I haven't got a dentist chair." I sit down, and his assistant, a larger Wombo man, comes behind me, puts his arm here around my neck, and pulls his chair back at 45 degrees. Just
leans it backwards.
Yeah. Open your mouth. He says, "That looks bad." He said, I'll have to give you an injection." So I said, "Okay, that's fine. Please do." He said, he injected twice with one here and one on the other side of it. And he said, I don't know how long to leave it for. I said, "Have you ever taken a tooth out?" And he said, "Well, no, actually he hasn't." But it said, "You'll know if you've had a tooth out. You can tell me whether I can take the tooth out, whether it's going to be painful or not." I said, "Just come with another 5 injections. Fill my mouth up." The idiot breaks the thing off.
The
He broke
needle.
the tooth off, yeah.
Oh,
He
broke
left
the
roots
tooth
in the
off.
blooming thing.
Anyway, it
You know, he said, I'll dig it out. I said, no, thank you. I went home and I think a couple of weeks later it all rotted and fell out. But what an experience.
was
I'm
nasty.
frightened of dentists. Did shit to them.
I can imagine. So I was going to ask a question. There are native to Namibia, there are a lot of oryx. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you have any memories or stories of
No.
seeing oryx where you were?
No. There were, we saw them we went back later to the Etosha Game Reserve. We
Okay.
saw them.
Yes.
But I never saw them. I never saw them there.
So what were the animals that were there? Elephants, springbok?
Where we were.
Yes.
Impala.
Okay, impala.
Impala, and elephant and kudu. We were right up in the north here.
We never saw a leopard. We never saw a leopard.
never saw
Even with
leopard
those
either.
kranzes by the river, we never saw leopard.
Really?
But there were lions there, definitely. I'm just trying to think. And we saw lots of wild pigs, which you shot some pigs.
Why? So, but that's not. Is that warthogs or is that?
Yeah, warthogs.
Okay, it's warthogs.
Yes, no, the ones Mike shot were domestic pigs. They were
Feral.
close to feral domestic. Yes, the ones you say, well, I'm having pork today.
So, there is something I wanted to come back to. You guys talked about Jeffreys Bay. So, you had this amazing experience for quite some time up in Namibia.
Yeah.
And then you moved down to Jeffreys Bay,
Hot and dry, and then down to the beach.
which is very humid, I'm
Yes,
guessing.
yes.
Down, which is on the, is that the east?
Just below
No.
Port Elizabeth.
It's just below Port.
Just below P.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and that ended up being a big surf town, right?
Yeah, it was a big. I never surfed.
So tell me about the change, though. You said that you had long hair, and so
Yeah.
a very
Well,
different
it's just,
existence.
I think most young people in those days.
What year was that when you moved there?
1970.
Okay.
We were there 70, 71, 2, 3, those 3 years odd.
Yeah.
We were there. The road, when you travel back now, after you've left Port Elizabeth, you travel towards Humansdorp. We lived in Jeffreys Bay and Humansdorp and then back to Jeffreys Bay.
Yeah.
It was they changed the
They were
house.
busy
to
building
grass.
the main road. The dual
Yes.
carried the thing running down to
He
the
oversaw all that road there.
to the
Storms River?
what was that
Toll Road.
toll road where the toll road place is down as far as that.
Okay.
It's a Tsikama. Yeah.
Did you enjoy being close to the ocean?
We loved Jeffreys Bay because we hadn't been there very long, and there was an old lady who used to cook a dinner at night, and you could go to her and say, "I'll have 4." She had a small tea room, if you want to call it that, the way we called them those days.
Yes.
And she would have a leg of mutton, and then you'd say, "Okay, I want 4 pieces of mutton, I want pumpkin, potato, peas, whatever." It was all cooked nicely and kept warm on the stove, and you would take a big platter home. And that was fine for Mike and I, just a little bit for the kids, the 2 girls.
Yes.
Because we just had them for, I think Tracy's 9 years older than Callum. So anyway, one evening we were at Mrs. Smitty's getting our dinner, and Max Wetland came along. You've possibly not heard of him, but in
I have.
surfing circles,
Yes.
he was well known. And Max got talking to Mike, he said, "Oh, you've got the Natal accent." Mike said, "Yes, we originally from there, wabba wabba." And Max said, "You know what, I've also got 2 little girls." And he said, "Our kids would get on very well. Please come around and see us on whatever day it was." So we went and we met them and we saw them, and Lyn and I became the best of friends. She was my friend till she died a few years ago. And so a very good friendship was born with Max, who was a surfer.
Yes.
And Max had a house at Jeffreys Bay on a knoll overlooking the sea, no houses behind it whatsoever. Now if you drive past, I believe they go right up to the highway. So there were no houses the other side of the road. There was just this little coastal road and these houses along there like that.
Yes.
And we met Brian Finch there, the musician. He lives in Prince Albert now. I mean, he lived in Prince Albert. He's died of cancer. But we met Brian and Marion there, and I was trying to think. From the States, there was David Day, there was Graham somebody, there was... Oh, they came from all over.
Yeah.
And they used to come, especially from the States, the guys that came from the States, Jackie Smith, her 2 sons, all these people that we met.
Is this surfers?
They were surfers, and they used to come from the States specially
Yeah.
to surf Bruce's Tubes, which are at Cape St. Francis. Goes from Jeffreys Bay, you go round, and then there's like another bay, and those tubes are evidently world
It's like
renowned.
the best waves, certainly in South Africa. if
Yes,
not
yes,
the world.
evidently, yes. Something like
Amazing.
that. Yeah. So we met them all. We used to sit in the sun all day and get burnt. The girls tanned and the men surfed. And Mark worked, because that was where his work was.
So was it nice being close to the ocean then, as opposed to being
Oh, it
somewhere
was
so
lovely.
dry?
No, it was lovely.
Did that kind of change what you ate, I guess, or other than impala, you were eating more
Yes,
fish?
then you went back to the butcher shop and the vegetables and mutton and...
Excuse me.
We used to eat goats too.
Oh, you had
Namibia.
goats as well, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, you ate goats in Namibia.
When I was up in there 3 months before Lyn got there,
Yeah.
I ate in a mess.
Okay.
Nobody was hunting for them. I had every kind of meal you can have with every kind of goat.
Way you can do
The way you can do goats.
Did you guys ever opportunistically find other animals like, I don't know, porcupine or anything else that you
No, we
ended up
didn't.
eating? You didn't get any strange things brought home that you had to prepare?
No, but I told people...
Ostrich.
I told people that we had... Mike would bring home duck. What were those little duck that were on the pans? Thousands of them. And we would cook 2 or 3 for supper.
I can't remember.
And then he brought me a goose one day. Was it an Egyptian goose? No, I can't remember. Sperming goose? I can't remember. And a friend of ours said to us, you know the story about the goose, don't you? So I said, no. He said, you take a goose and you put it in a pot. And he said, you put it in a pot with 3 stones. You cover it with water, you put your salt, your spices and everything, you put the lid on, and you cook it. And he said, you cook it for 3 days. And he says, when the 3 days are up, you take the lid off, you take the stones out and you eat them. That's how tough.
Throw the duck away.
And you throw the duck away, because that's how tough those duck are. I said, okay, fine.
You got some stuff
Yeah.
from Lyn on her early
Yes.
childhood and stuff.
Yes.
I think she had...
Let's talk about that, shall we?
Oh my word.
if you
can.
if you feel like it.
We have a funny history, because her family were farmers in a Crichton area called Crichton in Natal.
Yes.
And my father actually ran a trading store in Natal for a company in Crichton.
Yeah.
So I was there when I was a child, but when I got to grade 3 or something, the local little school, my parents moved down to Pietermaritzburg. So I lost touch with that. I was very young. And when I was in grade 11 at Maritzburg College, and I came back to Crichton in my grade 11th year, beginning of the year. And because there was no high school, I got stuck in boarding school, but that is another story. It was the worst time of my life. I didn't like it at all, because I had absolute freedom where I was.
Yes.
My parents never see me. I had my motorbike at the Royeske track. We used to strip it and race at weekends and all sorts. And now suddenly you go to boarding school. Anyway, I met Lyn. I was introduced to her again. Well, I didn't know her. Her mother brought her into my dad's shop. And I said, And then...
I didn't say anything. I
No,
was
I shouldn't
only
say
14. I didn't know anything.
I'll wait till
about
she
boys.
plumps up a little.
Didn't know anything about anything.
So
Yeah.
she was a Crichton girl. I became a Crichton boy. And I love Crichton. I could go back there. So
Yeah.
it's a lovely little place. While I was at school, I found out about go-karts in America. I built my own in Crichton, and I built a racetrack in Crichton. Don't ask me how. Everybody says, how did you get that done? But I did. I built a racetrack, and I got everybody in Crichton racing go-karts. I was still at school. And when we moved down here, it's one of the first things I did. I don't know if you know about Callum and his go-karting career.
No.
It was very good, eh?
Oh, was he?
Yeah, it was very good. I decided I wanted to go karting again, and Callum was 14 or 13 or something. I bought him one, I bought one for myself. And we used to go to Port Elizabeth to race and go and race. Then I decided to build one here, so that's still another story. Why I couldn't go and live in Australia, because I'd have been in jail. I needed material to build the track, and there was no money to buy one. So I found a section of road in East London that nobody owned. I had a friend in Amatola Regional Services, and I said to him, can't you let me have some machinery? And he said, yes, 5,000 Rand, you can have this team for 2 weeks, but I need a farm number. I said, I haven't got a farm. So he said, no, I can't give them to you for nothing unless you've got a farm. Give me a number. I said, I haven't got a number. He said, Mike, give me a number. So I said, 9874. He says, right, 9874. I said, it's fine, tell your machinery, where do you want it? I said, up in the other side of town,
Where the
just next to the airport.
Yeah.
There's an old road there. Okay, that's fine. Gave me the machinery. I went to the municipality and I said, whose road is that? No, they didn't know whose road it was. So I just went and picked an entire road up, about 150 metres of road this deep. Old road.
Yeah, yeah.
Picked it up and took it down and added it onto the East London racetrack.
They still use it today.
Got it all built virtually for nothing, and then we needed to surface it, but it was too expensive to surface. And I found a quarry that was disused with tons and tons of stuff in, so I went to the local tarring people here and said, I know where there's some material that you can get for nothing. Oh, they said, well, I said, you can have it. I said, I'll swap you. You make me a road surfacing for this kilometre, and I'll give you the material, and you'll have so much material you won't know what's happened. I said, okay. So I went and I made some inquiries. Nobody knew who had ever been anywhere near the quarry in 50 years. So I just said, that quarry's mine. We loaded it up and we took it away, and they surfaced the go-kart.
Now, you were talking
So
about
you
the
know
parts
I
you-
wouldn't have been, I'd have been in jail in
Yeah.
in Australia.
You were talking about
No, then I left school, went to Maritzburg. She left school, went to Maritzburg after me.
Okay.
And we just started going out. We went out.
that.
We've been around for a long time, but
60 years.
no, it's longer than 60 years, Lyn.
Oh yes, no, we've been together for 63 or 4 years.
Wow.
We went to a wedding, and I said it in my little piece. Weddings were sort of communal affairs in the village.
Yeah.
Everybody went,
Yeah.
and all the surrounding.
You didn't have to get
farms.
an invite.
You didn't get invited. You know, so-and-so was getting married, so you all went to the wedding. So-and-so died, so you all went to
Yeah.
the funeral. It
Yeah.
was just the way it was.
Does anybody need somebody to make boiled eggs or whatever? Everybody would volunteer.
It's like a community
Lovely.
thing.
It was
community.
very much, we grew up very much in a community thing. And we went to a wedding. Mark was the best man or whatever it was with the flower here. And he said, I said to him, can I have the flower? Because I used to press flowers and then they would be for my memories, and I've done scrapbooking, stuff like that. So I asked him for the flower, and he said, if you come out with me for a date. And he'd already had a few years or a year or whatever it was out of school. So I said, yes, fine, and that was that. We went to a black
I
and
thought you were
white
going to say I
movie.
already had a girlfriend.
You had girlfriends, but I don't. Yeah, I only knew one. But
Funny.
yeah, so that was that. We had 2.5, 3 years together, and then got married.
The beaut part about it is we decided to get married. So I had to go and ask her father, who was a miserable old bastard. I followed him around the cow shed for about an hour and a half, trying to get an opportunity to put the question to him. And eventually I got the question out. We'd like to get married. You know what he said to me? What for? It'll never work.
60 what?
So
So
63
I'm only here
years
because
later.
I had to prove him wrong.
Yeah.
We,
How did you? Did you have to do anything to prove him wrong?
No.
He agreed. He just begrudgingly agreed.
Yeah,
we
he wasn't a bad old bugger.
we had a very much a community upbringing. People had manners. Deals were done with a handshake. You trusted the person. You could go to almost anybody's home and you'd be safe. It was very different to what it is now.
I see, Lyn,
Very different.
you wrote about the agricultural show. Tell me about there, you say?
It was based on the British village shows, as far as I can tell. It's that a lot of that stuff came from the from the colonials. You know,
Yes, yeah.
But it was the community would get together, and they would have all these little stalls marked off, and there'd be the flower arranging and the knitting of things and the sewing.
Potato growing competition.
Yes, and then the first day of the show started, and everyone took their things and put them in the hall. They had to be there by 11 o'clock, very like the British do in their villages.
And it's based on animals as well. The farmers all bought their animals for show.
Like best in show.
Yes, and judging would start at 11 sharp, for example. I can't remember the time.
Yeah.
And it would start, and the judges had big rosettes on them and names, and it was very serious. And then the whole village would be abuzz about the show. And then the judges was judge, and then about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, judging was over, and people would run to see what they got first, second, third, whatever. And then the following day, everybody milled around and enjoyed the show and saw that Mrs. Brown had got first and so had got commended, or a sheep had a big rosette on it, or, you know.
Yeah.
that.
And then there was the show dance.
And then to
Show
end
ball.
it off, there was a show ball, and there would also be, one of the days would be set aside for a hockey tournament or a soccer tournament or something, you know.
Yeah.
And the villagers all around would take part. And it's just the way things were.
Yeah. Sounds like a very different
The
time.
band also was just all local people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and you
Playing the
danced.
band.
You went round and round the hall, and when you stopped next to somebody, that was who you danced with, and then you'd, you know. And we did this. The Afrikaans people have a lovely expression for it. They call it a pump in pantoffels, which means a pump and slippers, because in the old days they used to dance in these slippers, and then their arms would go like this as they were dancing.
It's like side
I
to
think
side.
in America they've got a similar thing where they go to those local places and they waltz and they do.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
It's a similar thing to that. Yeah.
In those days, if you went down to Pietermaritzburg and you told anybody that you lived in Crichton, they used to look at you and say, Jesus, that's a bad place. I've heard about that place. They drink like hell, or something like that. It was like the Wild West. I promise you, it was like the Wild West. I can remember going to one show dance there, and somebody had a Fiat 500. You know, one of those.
Just
Yeah,
Bobby
real
Scott.
small
Fiat 500.
bubbly car.
They drove it onto the dance floor and chased everybody around the dance floor with it.
It's Bob Scott.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
The hotel, the local hotel, was an absolute lunatic asylum. The guys used to ride into the bar on horses and shoot holes in the roof with their revolvers. And that was in 1960.
Yeah, we've just said what a nice
Yeah.
community it was.
But people loved it. They loved it. They used to come up and play hockey, and they didn't want to go home.
Yeah.
But this is the life. And I also built and designed and instigated 4 different motocross tracks in Crichton while I lived there.
Yeah.
And we raced there. We had race meetings. I used to phone up clubs in Maritzburg, and they were in Crichton. Before you'd finished talking to them, they were loading and coming up to this place they'd heard about. Yeah. And movies on Sunday, on
Every
Friday night, every Friday. If the train was on time and if the station master hadn't forgotten to lock up the film. The film used to come from the train.
Oh, really?
Just to come in a wooden box.
And
A big reel.
Yeah,
of
big
movie.
reels, and they'd put on a thing, and everybody
With
would gather
room.
there.
How
Yeah.
funny.
When I was a youngster in Maritzburg too, when I was little, I used to go to the bioscope for 8 pence on a Saturday morning. My parents could drop me there at 9 o'clock in the morning and pick me up at 12 or whatever. Nobody had to think who was fiddling with my child or anything.
No, there was
I used to
nothing like
take
that.
my cap guns there and shoot them off in the movie.
In the movie.
Yeah,
In the movie house, while they were watching.
Yeah, while they were watching. I got arrested by the management a couple of times. The lady came and took my guns away. It was humiliating, I tell you. Yeah.
Were you watching a Western or something
Yeah,
at the time
yeah.
when you were shooting your cap
Yeah.
guns?
Every movie they made, my only idea of America was through movies. I had no other way of knowing about the United States of America. And my only sort of idea about the world was a flat piece of paper.
Yes.
And Russia was there and America was there. No, they're actually there, you know.
Yeah.
That's how we grew up. It's just who we were. But yeah. So they would, Mark had his cap guns on because Roy Rogers had the 2 guns.
Every Saturday
And
morning there
the
was
horse
a,
would
there
go
was a,
past the
there
same
there was a movie, and every single movie they were actually, what did you call, like
Cereals.
serials. You'd come on Saturday and see the beginning, and you'd go to see the Durango Kid next Saturday, and next Saturday, and next Saturday, and all the movies were made, you could tell, on the same site with the same stagecoach and the same rocks. Everywhere the stagecoach was going.
Yes, the stagecoach always went towards the cliff
Godfathers.
and was about to go over and it would stop and you had to see next week what happened. Oh, it was pathetic.
But it was so safe that they could drop me there.
Mm.
When I was about 14, I used to go to movies. They dropped me at movies in Pietermaritzburg at the movie house, or I'd catch the bus.
Yeah.
I go to the movie, and then at 10 o'clock at night, I'd walk home, and it was about easy 5 kilometres
3
into
mile
a
walk.
suburb, yeah.
Wow.
And they never used to worry about me.
Well, I grew up on a farm.
Perhaps they're trying to get rid of me.
I grew up on a farm and there was a river running through it. The river ran through the farm. That side was what was called a native location. African people lived there, the Zulus lived there. There was a small stretch of water where this river went through it, and this side was my dad's farm.
Okay.
My dad had title. He owned his farm. He bought 7 others, so he owned 8 when he passed away. He had a very big, massive tract of land. By today's standards in Natal, it's still there. My 2
How
brothers
many
have got it.
hectares was that, do you think?
I don't know in hectares, but it ended up at about 1,300 to 1,500 acres.
Oh, acres. Okay,
Yes,
yeah.
so I
That's a
don't know which
huge
way
piece
to
of
do it.
land.
Yes, and it was a lot of farms. You could do a lot on the farms, and he added them all. But it's incredible to think that those children grew up there and I grew up here. They didn't have a school built for them. They couldn't go to school.
Yeah.
I went to a school for free, for nothing. And it never occurred to me that it was wrong.
Mm.
It was just those people didn't go to school. They didn't want to go, I thought.
Yes.
If you know, it's terrible, but that's how it was in the 50s.
Mm.
And we'd all go off with Dad in his big car, and the people next door would have to catch the train to go anywhere. It's actually quite shocking, anyway. It's terrible.
Yeah. Well, hopefully things can get better. And
No, they do. Things get better, and then they get worse. Then we all have a look at ourselves, and things seem to be all right, and then they get bad. Something happens.
Mm.
You know, I mean, look at the Ukrainians and the Gazans and all the stuff that's going on. And hopefully things will get better for them and the worst will be somewhere else. So they can have a break.
I guess
you
it
know?
goes in cycles. So I have maybe one last question for you guys. With all your travels and all your adventures and your experiences out in wild places and amazing interactions with elephants and impala and all these things, what would you say now as a piece of advice for people who are growing up, or maybe it's like a couple who've just met each other and are thinking about traveling somewhere new and having a new experience? What would you give advice to them or to someone who's thinking about it?
I'm in 2 minds about it.
Mm.
There are those who like a steady, secure, quiet little place, and they'll stay there forever.
Mm.
And a person who's on a farm in Greece, for example, and the olive trees have grown there for 500 years, and he's got his goats and his sheep and whatever he's doing, he might, like The Alchemist, that book, he might start there and end there and have a wonderful full life.
Yes.
And that's where he's always stayed.
Mm.
But for people like Mike, I don't want to be here anymore. I've done that, I've been there, I've seen that now we'll move here. And I have had a life, but I've actually lived Mike's life in a way. No relationship can work unless one person is... All relationships, I think, that are good are 70-30 or 60-40 or any number you wish to put in between, but they're never 50-50 because they're not going to work.
Yeah.
That's my view. That's one thing, sorry. And the other thing is, to get back to your point, the Greek person, I'm just using that as an example,
yeah.
on the sunny hills, then he's happy. And then other people need way out adventure. They need to be up Everest and across Greenland and whatever, in the fjords of Scotland or whatever, and doing this and that and that and that. We've got them living in East London. We had a wonderful guy who rode across the sea and did all sorts of things. I think, looking back, that I had enough adventure for me, because inside of all the places we went to and the homes I made, I had 3 children to consider.
We've lived in 29 different houses.
Yes, we've lived in about 25, 26 homes.
Wow.
And I've made each one of them a home.
Yes.
No, I'm just saying, I think it depends on the person, but I would say to young people, if you have a little bit of a thing that you'd like an adventure, have one, and if it grabs you, go and have 25.
Let's do what feels right for you.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
For sure.
No,
And some
just-
people
I was
will have
just-
a full adventure, and they'll have a little boy on the back or the little girl on the back with a backpack, and they'll have 2 here, and they'll all go together as
Yeah.
a family and do that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's brilliant.
I agree with Lyn. After 63 years, you know when to agree and when not to. No, I agree with her, but I was just laughing at her. Are you familiar with somebody, a motor racing guy from the 60s called David Piper?
No, tell me about David Piper.
David Piper is a magic man. He's an English boy. His father was a farmer, and he got interested in motorsport. He's probably the only privateer, in other words, private owner
Yeah.
of cars to have reached the success that he reached. He's raced at Le Mans.
Wow.
He's raced all over. When we had in the 60s, we had a lot of endurance racing here. We had the 9-hour endurance, the 3-hour endurance. David Piper came out here. I met him, and he has won and supported racing. And he's now 94. He's still alive.
Wow.
10 years ago, he was here racing. He was driving one of those fancy fast 50s sports cars around this track.
Wow.
Got him here. And I've got a book of his, and that expression when Lyn said, he has a laugh.
Yeah.
They asked David Piper's wife about it, and about her laugh, and she said, well, actually, said, David has a laugh and I'm in it. That's basically.
That's what I say. Mark had a laugh and I shared it.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
Well, he just said,
As long
I'm
as
in it.
it's a happy life, I hope.
Yeah.
We at an age, I don't know exactly how Mark feels, but I think he feels the same. We don't understand this world. Sometimes people use expression, young people, my grandson's at varsity in Cape Town, and him talking, and I have another grandson in Port Elizabeth under the age of 30. And these kids all get together with these here, and they start using words, and I think, I've never heard that word before, I don't know that. I grew up in a house where my mother put the food, my mother spent the afternoon cooking a big meal for the evening, and we would sit around a big yellow wood table at the farm, and we'd eat, but we didn't speak.
Really?
No. We said, please pass me the gravy, may I have the salt, please? Oh, Mum, this is lovely, thank you. And that was it. There was no politics, there was no discussion, there was no, so what did you do today, lovey? Did you enjoy yourself? No, there was nothing like that. Quiet. When the knives and forks started to stop, then you could talk, you could speak, and then you were allowed to speak. And over dessert, Mum, we never ate a meal that there wasn't a meal and dessert.
Yeah.
The first time I went to supper at his home, I knew his parents, but the first time I sat down to formal supper, ting-a-ling-a-ling, the bell rang. France, we're ready for supper, and in would come the meat, and Mike's dad would slice the meat onto the plate, and then the vegetables, then we could help ourselves to vegetables. And when Mike's dad lifted up that cover to see the meat, he said, "Oh, we're having mutton tonight." That's how much cooking his mum did.
So that was very different from your experience.
No, it was different. My mum stood every afternoon in front of the warm stove, like an agar stove, those agars or agars,
Yes.
they call them. She had an essie, and every day she stood there from 4:30. Mum was home, wasn't visiting, wasn't doing anything, and she was
Both
cooking
my
family
parents
meal.
worked.
Yes, but his parents worked,
Yeah.
In office situations. My dad was a farmer, and so his work was different, and my mum was the keep the hearth going, that sort of thing, the hearth keeper. Yeah, so...
I hope you got what you wanted.
Definitely, and more. Thank you so much for your time today.
I didn't know I could remember everything.
No, but it was lovely to hear so many stories.
You can make another appointment and I'll think up some more bullshit stories.
Well, I have to do that.
Thank
We
you.
should, before we carry on, I'm going to turn the recording off and then I can...
I'm waiting for you to turn.
Okay, well, I should just wrap up and say thank you again for sharing so many stories and all your memories and everything. I had a great time. So, yeah, that's the episode for this one. Okay, I'm going to press stop now. Okay, that's another episode in the bag, done and dusted. Very dusty given where we were in this part of the world. Thank you again, Mike and Lyn, for an amazing conversation. I feel very privileged to have got the perspectives of some people who, well, are probably one of few. There aren't that many people who were doing what they were doing. So, yeah, pretty incredible to get that on the podcast. Once again, everyone, if you enjoyed this podcast, I'm assuming if you got to this point, then you probably did. Please do all the things who enjoy podcasts do. Give us a follow, subscribe. Be sure to also give a review and share with someone who you think might enjoy the pod. Right, that's all from me for now. Thanks for listening, everyone. And until next time.
Welcome to the Wild Dispatch.